Do you yearn for travel that involves outdoor adventure and learning? I do. I also have a passion for all things farming and agriculture. I've traveled to exotic jungles to learn about growing chocolate. I even once owned my own organic vegetable and sunflower farm. And now I'm planning my journey back to agriculture. Agritourism, defined as travel that involves some type of agricultural experience. Agritourism is all about entertaining. But the marketing strategist in me knows that at its core, agritourism is really about educating, and education affects change. My future farm needs to deliver a profound experience to all of its visitors. It needs to educate people about food, health, and climate. Join me to learn from experienced agritourism farmers and entrepreneurs and help me build my future farm strategy. And who knows, maybe one day soon you'll find yourself in a tropical jungle cutting open cacao pods with a machete, or savoring an outdoor plant-to-plate community dinner with 100 guests at a farm in Illinois. So let's tap into the agritourist in you. My inspiring guest today is Dr. Valeria Klitsounova, or Dr. Lara, from Belarus. Yes, Belarus. That might sound surprising to many, especially during the current times. But when given the introduction, I thought this was a very important opportunity to listen and learn. Obviously, my conversation is focused on agritourism. However, the bigger issues of today are at the core of our discussion. Dr. Lara's story is truly inspiring, and it made me stop and reflect on what it means to be an American and how I have access to so many opportunities, especially in business, that I may take for granted at times. Raised by her aunt and grandmother, Dr. Lara grew up thinking critically and developed her independence and leadership skills at a young age. She and her husband founded and owned a museum of history and rural culture in Belarus. The museum allowed her to share Belarusian history, one of her passions. After selling the museum, she looked for other opportunities to bring information about Belarus to the world. In 2002, Dr. Lara introduced the idea of agritourism to Belarus. Her focus was to provide more income opportunities to rural communities throughout the country. She founded the Belarusian Association of Rural and Ecotourism, also known as Country Escape, a nonprofit dedicated to promoting Belarus as a tourist destination. Dr. Lara traveled to the U.S. in 2003 to participate in the International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP, that was focused on nonprofit management. During her exchange, she discovered many concepts that she could use to support entrepreneurs who were members of her nonprofit. She directly credits the IVLP for improving her negotiation skills. This helped her to persuade the Belarusian government and president to increase funding and expand programming in rural villages, something that was close to impossible to do. And through her incredible dedication and hard work, Belarus was selected as the best agritourism destination in 2016 and 2018 by National Geographic. When she started Country Escape, there were very few farmsteads that supported rural tourism, aka agritourism or ecotourism. Her influence and leadership dubbed her as the mother of agritourism in Belarus. A few years ago, after 20 years leading Country Escape, the Belarus government required her to close her company, leaving 3,000 farmsteads without her support. Now, a few years after closing her company, the tourism industry has under 1,000 active farmsteads practicing rural tourism. Dr. Lara is now focused on her senior lecturer position at Belarus State University, where she instructs students in marketing, advertising, public relations, and ecotourism. As she demonstrates in our interview, many of her students have gone on to have a significant impact on rural tourism in Belarus with the use of technology. In addition, she is on the board of the Global Agritourism Network and making her mark there. So although her company was forced to close, she has continued to pursue what is near and dear to her heart through diverse and impactful means. After listening and learning from Dr. Lara, I took a few minutes to really think about what it means to live in America and to be an American. It was a significant reminder about how grateful I am for the freedoms and opportunities I share as an American. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Dr. Lara. Before we get started, Lara, I want to before, because I really want to talk about you and some of your background, because I think it's so interesting and some of the things you've done, and how you've gotten to be the mother of agritourism. Um, and then obviously I want to talk about agritourism in Belarus, but I want to tell me about your country, because a lot of people don't know much about your country. And I just give us just a broad perspective of Belarus and what it's like, and just tell me about it. Let's start there.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. So Belarus, yeah, it's my country. A few words about my country. It's one of the country in Eastern Europe. It's one of the country which belongs to former Soviet Union. And since 1990 or 1991, we are more or less independent. We have wonderful people. I think if we speak about social capital, we are one of the best, definitely in the former Soviet Union, but maybe in general. Our people very intelligent, very educated, and they are, like very soft and have a lot of empathy to other. We just about a little bit position. It's on a crossroad in Europe. We have 38% of territory covered by forests. We have 10,000 lakes, 20,000 rivers. It's like a flat. Maybe it could remind Wisconsin or like the states like that. And we don't have sea, and we don't have mountains. We had a quite developed agriculture. We have, of course, we have cities. Minsk is the capital. It's about 2 million people. Our people really well educated and rather creative, and we have a lot of IT guys. Some of them left now. I think it's contemporary, but bright. Some famous artists like Marc Chagall, Haim Soutine, they were born in our country. So, and we appreciate this heritage, even if it's Jewish heritage, it's our people. And what do we produce? We have 4 national parks. One of them, famous most, Belarusian Pushcha. We share it with Poland. And a bison, it's like a symbol of this forest. We have very developed intangible heritage, not much material heritage, because wars always went through our countries, and during Soviet time, many monuments, especially churches, castles, were destroyed. Our population share mainly 2 religious, Orthodox and Catholic, and there is no serious tension between us. But because we spent 70 years or how much during Soviet time, of course, many of people are atheistics, but now they are looking for their way to find, I don't know, balance and what is good, what is bad. Now we have president for, I don't know, about 30 years, and it's a strong power. And we in 2020 we have sort of revolution. It didn't work out. Then just after we had a COVID, and just after we had a war on the border, I mean Russia and Ukraine. We also had a border Ukraine. So all of last 3 years, it's not easy in our country. So, but in general, it's beautiful country. It's very hospitable people, and we had a lot of tourists just 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, people from Western Europe, from America. Now we have mainly from Russia, uh, some from Latvia and Lithuania, because for them, we are visa-free country. So this is about Belarus. And we started to develop tourism actively, but we didn't have enough infrastructure, enough mobility before. And now we have agro and ecotourism, which is developed very fast. We have different kind of tourism and cultural tourism and industrial tourism. We produce the largest trucks or lorries in the world. We produce famous tractor, Belarus, and candies, glass, different kind, and we started to bring tourists there. So, but ecotourism, agrotourism, cultural tourism, maybe this is the most
Okay.
developed, let's say, part of
And
tourism.
just quickly, what is the climate like there?
Climate, it's like a middle climate, mild climate, like in Wisconsin, maybe winter a little bit more mild, but the climate are changing and the winter is becoming shorter, summer sort of longer, and maybe a little bit warmer.
Okay.
But
Excellent.
summertime is very good for holiday in Belarus, and I live in the countryside now, and I don't want to live for hot country during summer.
Excellent. And farmers there, what do they mainly grow?
I will tell you about our farmers. We used to live in socialism country, and we never had a private ownership for the land. So, if you live in a village, you could have a half of hectares around your house, and you could have your, I don't know, cow or poultry and a little garden around your house. After Perestroika, 1990, the first farmers appear. It was a law that you could become independent individual farmers. But before that, everybody in a village belonged to collective farm. Yeah, he was a member of a big team. And first farmers, they were like rebellion, like heroes. They left collective farmer and went in the to nowhere. Nobody knows how it and if it worked out. They've got a land. Yeah, government gave them the land, but it was the worst land from possible. If you want 100 hectares, take. If you want 200 hectares, take it. And this was first farmers. Not everybody managed to survive in that time, 30 years ago. But there are people who now have like 1,000 hectares of land, and they're very famous and good farmers. But this land does not belong to them, but they can inherit it, but they can't sell it because our land can't be sold to anybody. Yeah? It belongs to the people, to Belarus government, but they can inherit their sons, their family. It will stay within the family. Now, it's about the farmers, individual farmers. I think there are more than 2,000 individual farmers who has a big piece of land, and they have a status of farmers. Because the other are just villagers, they can do business, agriculture, whatever, but they don't want a status of farmer, because if you are farmer, you like an enterprise, you should do your own accounting, pay taxes, etc. It's a little bit complicated. What do we grow? We are a country of potato, first of all. Uh, bulba, it's like from German of European root, bulb. And we have a name in Soviet Union like bulbashi, connected with bulb, with the potato. We grow a lot of potato. People like it, and they make potato pancakes. They use a lot of potato. So it's one. Then different kind of crops. It could be wheat, it could be barley, it could be just normal for this climate. Because wheat, we have not enough sun for that. So crops We have a lot of apples. We have a lot of
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
normally, yeah. And we grow vegetables in the garden, and farmers like tomatoes, like paprika, sweet paprika, like cucumbers. We also grow a lot of cucumbers, something like that. And of
Okay.
course, everybody used to have cow and pigs. We eat pork mainly. Of course, we have a sheep now, and lamb is also popular but expensive. But mainly, our people eat pork and then beef and then um,
Okay.
sheep. Yeah. Mhm.
Excellent. So tell me about you. You have an
Yeah.
interesting background. I want to explore that and how you made your way here. So I don't know where you want to start. I know that in some of your bios it says you were raised by your aunt and your grandmother, and
Mhm.
I love how it says you grew up thinking critically and
Oh yeah.
developed
From
independence and
very
leadership skills at a young
uh,
age.
from my birthday, it was I had to rule myself, and my mom told me then I have a one Lithuanian on the Polish grandmother and another Belarusian. Belarusian more soft. That's why I like grandma, Belarusian grandma Anna, who let me do whatever I want. And my son, my father, it was her son. He was accidentally he died very when I was very young.
Okay.
So me, it was like a part of her son, and they love me. Another mother, my grandmother, Polish, she was very rough, and she worked from kindergarten. She was a director. So, when you are school on work in this system, you are very bossy. And when I didn't want to go to her, etc. But when it's happened, okay, when they brought me to another grandma, I turned around and told her, and now I'm going to do whatever I want. I was 3 years old or four. So it just something was in the blood. But actually, I was a city girl, nothing connected with village. And my mom worked her for the university, that my stepfather was a professor, and I was graduated from the university and geography department. And I met my future husband very early. He was older than me. I was 17. He was a novelist. He was a journalist, very famous in the former Soviet Union. And he wrote for the best magazines and newspapers. And but in Soviet time, no private businesses, yeah. But this area, when you worked as in a, let's say, creative industry, you could have a house in a village and a flat in Minsk or in the city. Normally, no, or. But exception was this creative industry or people from creative industry, musician, writers, etc. So we bought this tiny house in a village just to bring friends to make shashliks. This is a barbecue. Everybody like it. We have a garden, but place was extremely beautiful. So we visited time to time. But later on, when I had my child, we went. I spent much more time in a village. But
Right.
normally, city girl. I was great. I protected my dissertation quite early. I was not relatively early. At 28 or 9, I had my PhD and I had my son. So, and after perestroika started, and my husband decided to make a museum of rural culture. Not a museum, but first just to do something. But here, where is our house, which is a beautiful place, we took a land, 200 hectares, and we set up enterprise. But it was not rural enterprise, but multifunctional. We have a big publishing house. We bought a bankrupt factory of equipment for printing different stuff. We printed a quality book, but after we printed valuable papers, it's like a share, like a even first visa we printed for Belarus because we have very good workers, employees who can use computer and make a really great job with guillotine, with how to protect paper. So it was and this was printing house. Then we have cars and different kind of activities. Then we have a land because nobody know how to survive. And this land we rent to our employees. We had like 200 to 300 employees. That's how I
Wow.
was connected with the village.
Wow.
But I was not going, I didn't think about rural tourism or agritourism in that time. That time we started to do museum. That's why we have been traveling along around the world to see the best example with interpretation, with interaction. And and when we visited this kind of museum, something, yeah, put in my heart. I like it. Then we started to do something like that here in Dudutki. This is the name. And he just wanted to do what he had in his childhood. One of his uncle was a smith there, another was pottery guy, the third was baker. So he just made this unit in a place we rented in these 200 hectares. And he put and restore windmills. Yeah, very beautiful. The oldest and the only one which operate in Belarus. And cows and big building, because in old time and these places there were famous noble guy, Polish, Yelski, Alexander Yelski, who was a composer like Chopin. And some historian and environmentalists came here and told, do you know what kind of land it used to be? We did not, but then we found out. And we restore the music of the Yelski family. And every year we organize here last festival of old culture and present
Wow.
music of Belarusian composer uh, every year something different. We invited a lot of famous artists and musicians. We invited diplomats. We invited government. We invited media and people who close to this area. So this is worth the time. That's why we
So
had a fantastic. I had fantastic connection with many different people. And
absolutely. So where is it
mhm.
located? I just wanted to be clear
Located
about
40
that.
kilometers from Minsk to
Okay.
the south. Mhm.
And Minsk is the biggest city, the capital of
Yeah, it's
Belarus.
just in the middle of Belarus,
Okay.
about 2
Wow.
million citizens.
Okay. And you still, is the museum is this
Mhm.
property in the museum still running?
And no, I have my own house here. And I have my own garden, and I took a piece of land many years ago nearby because I didn't want to have any neighbors. Now there is a other house or tiny house, new type of houses which could be transportable, and I think for my son, and we are finishing it, or for guests. So I still have my own properties. That's in the end of very small village, and then it is a river and water park. So beautiful place. But we don't own the museum anymore, especially my husband, because he was sort of in opposition to a government, and he wrote a book under the name of Fools. And nobody would let him do business anymore. That's why we have to sort of sold the museum, but not because we wanted, because it was the only way to survive and survive to museum. And when actually sold his factory publishing house, but together with it, he sold museum, and it was a condition that new owners should develop it. And I created my own travel agency, Dudutki Tour, just to develop museum a little bit and to teach locals how to, attract tourists. And because I was in the museum involved in this activity, like let's say director of different kind of excursion program. Yeah, and my husband, as a novelist, he wrote like a script for excursion. That's why it's a word like a fascinated travel around the museum, because it was like a script with different stops, surprises, experiences. Interesting. So this was the beginning. I was involved in a rural culture museum, or museum of rural culture, and I've seen how popular this theme could be and how interesting it could be. And later, when my husband sold the museum, and I like the topic of the theme and everything, but it was not mine. I was not a manager, and of course, I suffered. It was not easy time, and we went to have a holiday in Lithuania on the Baltic Sea, and our friends told me, "Oh, we stay in wonderful place." I asked what kind of. They told we have rent a house from farmers, and I was, what is this? Sodziba or farm stay? We didn't have nothing like that. He told, come to us this evening, and I came there. And I spoke with host, and they told me that agritourism is actively developed in Lithuania. And he told me that they have association, and there is a lady, and they are so happy because association helps them to learn something. They lobby them, etc. And I thought, oh, maybe it's what I need. I know the models through this museum of Dudutki, how to attract people, what to do, how to entertain them, how to educate them, and I maybe can do association, non-governmental, which was completely new for me. And when I came home back, I called to this the president of Lithuanian Association of Agritourism, Regina, and I told Regina, come to Belarus. We have a conference. My husband is Lithuanian. His surname was Budinas. Budinas, if you translate it, it sounds like Russian, wake up us. And he was this kind of very energetic man. And he asked, what? Budinas? She asked, Budinas? You know that when I was a pioneer, I went to the school named after Dominique Budinas, and it was his father. And she thought, oh, come on, okay, if we are connected so closely, I will help you. Okay. And she came, and after gave me some information, and then I set up NGO, and we've got a first grant from Eurasia Foundation from US. And this was the beginning. Our first teacher was from Lithuania and Ukraine. When I knew that in Ukraine they had a big association for long, I was just, wow, it's just impossible. Because everybody told me, what are you doing? Our people can't do any business, especially in a rural area. Nothing will work out, everybody told. But I believe in my people because I've seen what we do in the rural area here. This was the beginning, and it was association, and it was agency. Agency I closed sooner or later, and I concentrated on my activity in as a leader of non-governmental organization. And I forgot to tell you also that my colleagues invited me to teach at the university.
Yes.
And Belarusian State University is our main university. And that time it was the only one. Now we have a lot, but a serious university is only one. And my colleague from university, he became a chief of, no, it was the Department of International Affairs, and it was the division like international tourism department, and they invited me to teach there. And I have education also in the Charter Institute of Marketing at UK. It's very good program. So I went to teach first marketing, then it was ecotourism, then it was agritourism and heritage interpretation, etc. So I'm still teaching, but it's always was part-time job.
Oh, yes. I want to talk to you about, I have some questions specific to, your journey here. So at one point it says that in 2003 you came to the US through the International Visitor Leadership Program, which I didn't even know
Yeah.
what that was. And I looked it up. It was really interesting.
It was the
And
best program. 5 people,
yeah,
individual
talk to me about that.
program, 3 weeks. Wow.
Where did you
Actually,
come?
about
Where in the
enjoying.
US? Where in the US did you come?
It was 2002, but before I've been a couple of times. We have a friend there, so and we met Millennium in Florida with my husband friend. So I love US a lot, but here we came to see how non-governmental organization work in US, and there were 5 of us. 2 were the ladies, so it was women activity. The third guy was he's one a fighter, like a young leader, and then it was one artist, and it was me who developed agro and ecotourism. And they tried to put different city to please everybody. And because of me, we went to Florida to see Everglades, and it was ecotourism and something with agritourism. Then we were to Santa Fe, then we've been to New York, then we were to Portland, Oregon because of Lady, and then to New York because of Young Fighter. So I've been in Harlem. We've seen schools and meet with people and children and with parents. So it was absolutely great training.
When your US experience, that specific US experience, what were some of the takeaways? Like what were some of the significant learnings from that experience coming over here during, with the International Visitor Leadership Program?
I started to understand how a non-governmental organization can work, actually, because you need donors, you need a sponsor, you are non-governmental, you can't actually make money yourself as an organization. Of course, here it's absolutely different environment, not like in USA, if you support NGO or other activity, you pay less taxes. Here, absolutely opposite. And I've seen this actually, everything is possible, and people do or think more or less like me, especially in this direction like agritourism. We call our association agri and ecotourism because we wanted to combine this kind of tourism. And actually all villages are out of cities, they are close to beautiful nature areas, so we tried to combine them. And I've seen, uh, your Walt Disney always told never limit yourself in your dreams. So I never limit myself in my dreams. So I think everything is possible if you wish and if you quite determined. It's happened with my activity because nobody believes that it's possible to do something like agritourism, rural tourism, because people are not entrepreneurial in a village, but we managed and we 2002 it was the beginning of creation of our organization, and in 20 years we have 3,000 of farms and the farm stay who develop agrotourism. So it was a great inspiration.
So tell me, let's talk about your organization. So Country Escape, is that still
Yeah, it was liquidated 2 years ago because
okay?
after revolution, all of this, all or 99% of non-governmental organization, including like BirdLife International like absolutely environmental organization, all of them have been closed. The same through the court, highest court in our country. So it was interesting experience to go to the court to try to protect myself. But it was obvious that all organization would be liquidated, and they did it. So, but 20 years we existed. We were one of the most successful.
Before you tell me that, how does that make you feel?
At that time.
Yeah.
Actually, I
Whatever you're
understood.
comfortable talking about, obviously, because
I'm
that makes
absolutely
me sad.
comfortable.
It makes me very sad.
I was absolutely comfortable to speak about anything, but actually, I understood that we are going to that direction. And I thought, 20 years of my life, I already spent on one theme. It's like my main activity. I like it. And sometimes I ask myself, so it's only things I'm going to do till the end, because it take a lot of time, and it was more and more complicated to get money and to develop. Yes, the result was fantastic, and 20 years we helped people to become strong and smart, and we invested a lot of them. So it was like, of course, I would never stop activity in the organization if it's not that. But I ask myself, do I want to do it all my life? And there was no answer. But when it's happened, still I had a job at the university, and it was I could invest more time in my students. Yeah, it was other. Then I was active in some other activity, like interpretation and National Association for Interpretation in US. I always go for conference. I prepare presentation. It was like my hobby or topic I liked. And okay, after that, I have been thinking, what's next? Because my status, of course, fell down. Everybody invited me always. I was struggling with the government, trying to protect our people because they wanted to destroy it. Actually, if I do like that now, what I did 3 years ago, I would be in the prison for 100%. But at that time, you could do a lot of PR and uh,
So tell me, okay, the 20 years, so Country Escape was around for 20 years.
Yep.
Tell me about, I know that's a long time, but give me a summary of that experience, because what you created is amazing. And tell me about that, and that took a lot of marketing, and, that's why, I love it. I love what you've created. In a country that really didn't have any of that. So give me a summary of that experience.
Okay. Yes, it's true. Nothing like that. We even didn't use a word, agritourism or rural tourism, nothing like that. And the first name of our original organization was Agri and Ecotourism Association. Then this Agri and Ecotourism went to our new law, which we managed to lobby in 4 years. Yeah, because how can you develop something if everything goes against law? And of course, we spoke with a lawyer what to do and how to develop. We should protect people who started these businesses. And it was only one way to go to the president, because if he write his law, it's above all existing law. And we managed to do it for years. And he wrote this for us, this decree, and we managed to create a special condition for people who live in a village and want to develop rural tourism, because some of them don't have a special qualification. Just make an easy way to put a very easy and clear requirement, and they will do it. This is what we manage. So I
How
think
did you convince him to do
uh,
that?
him, you can't reach him. But I told you that during museum activity, my husband and I, we met very important person from opposition, from the West, etc., etc. And we had one guy who became director of a very important department of state control, who actually was not afraid too much of president, because how can you go to him and suggest, let's say, something which he doesn't like? The reaction could be different, but he didn't. He liked it. Of course, we showed him what we did, and he went to president and suggest him this idea. Already we something prepare, and then he told, okay, president like it, tomorrow you and your lawyer come to our state department. It was just more strong than KGB even, because it was for
Wow.
against corruptions, against everything. We came there, and he told Kamlera, and we came to the big hall full of people, huge table, and he told, we have 5 days to make a good law or decree. Then this guy, he told, I'm going to China as an ambassador, and we have only 5 days. This is my lawyer, this is my employees, work. And it was a really hard work. They worked all night. They could call me in the middle of the night and tell, Lara, there is no enough economy, give us fingers. I called to my friend to Poland, Professor Majewski, and tell Janusz, give me, because it's not enough, still very weak document and the ground for that. So we did it, and he managed. And then it was 1 year of struggle, but no, he signed and everything. And after having such a document, we could develop everything very fast, because all local authority understood that president liked it, and he really likes the idea, because this is his electorate, rural area. So was the beginning, this law, and then it was a lot of donors, programs, lots of contacts, media. We started from first conference, big conference about rural tourism. We invited experts from Ukraine, from Lithuania, and also from UN, people who knew it, and of course our government, Ministry for Tourism, people, local authorities. So, and everybody liked the idea, and we wanted that media started to discuss it, and actually it was very nice attitude to the idea, and we have 100% support from everybody, any stratas or actors. So
Wow.
this was the beginning. And then it was the system of certification, standards, marketing, the best example, case studies. And then we started to teach our people and take them to Lithuania, to, I don't know, to Germany, even to US. There were international visitor programs. So some of them was dedicated more or less to our topic. So, and we try to form a team without competition inside, and we attract somehow very nice, brave, um, talented people who decided to risk and start to do this business. Some of them just live in a village. Some of them removed from the city to village. Some were farmers, traditional farmers with 1,000 hectares of land, and we
Wow.
spent a lot of time together. We travel around Belarus and organize different kind of seminar in different places. And once we took with us the lady from government structure. She was fine from, she was a director of big enterprise. And she told, may I join your seminar? I told, come on, let's go. And she told me, Lyra, I've never seen in my country people like that. I asked, what's wrong with them? So this is free people. And already they differ from others. They were free because when you develop this kind of business, you may do whatever you like. And we always told them, if you like music, do it. If you like painting, do it. If you like tell the story, do it. If you like to cook, do it. You should create a product which you like, which please you. And if you do whatever things which you love, you are happy and your visitors are happy as well.
Wow.
So
It's pretty amazing. So, okay, so define, I guess, for those 20 years, define agritourism. What is your definition for Belarus, I guess, and for what you've
agritourism.
done? Yes,
Oh, yeah.
if you want to, I mean, I know tours, I know there's a lot of different terms, but whatever term you want to use, what would you define it as for your country?
I will do it because now you know that I'm involved in global agritourism network.
Yes, yes,
And know
yes.
that invited me vice president
I
on
love it.
the
Congratulations.
yeah, it was a little bit unexpected, but it could happen. I know. So, and I've seen how they struggle because we have a special department, no, department which is about definition,
It's
and this
tough.
definition,
It's
what is agritourism, etc. It's very complicated. But once I've been on webinar when you agritourism authority, you have someone from the top, they started to think about the law about agritourism, and their definition was absolutely opened. No, not any strict requirements, because and he guy explained, I don't want people stay apart from this law when we want to support them. And my approach is, let's grow all flowers. Let's all flowers, flourish. And what is important that you should live or be in a rural area. Yeah, it's agritourism, rural tourism. I try to explain to my colleague from US and from Australia, this is nothing like your farmers in our part of the world, because it's very developed. I mean, land, agriculture is everywhere. We live in settlement because it's an old culture. It doesn't matter if it's Netherlands, Poland, or Belarus. People used to live there. They don't have hundreds of hectares of land. Their density of population different, and people mainly live in a village if it's rural area. Yes, they have a land a little bit apart from village, but mainly they used to live together, and they have wonderful culture. They have a intangible heritage. They have a social habits, and a village is something special which people in other countries don't have. Because, for example, in Australia or Tasmania, my friend Tim Person, he have hundreds of hectares, nobody's around, so you're like, less there, but not here. Here's a very old history. That's why I don't split agritourism and farmers, like production, and a person who live in a village, have his small garden, but he has a wonderful, he's the guy or girl, woman who has a rural culture 1,000 years, and she knows how to cook, and this is recipe for years, and he knows how to sing song, and how to, I don't know, to crafts or do weaving. They have another kind of unique things. And there are farmers who has thousands of hectares and produce many, many other things. But for me, it's important they live in a rural area. They suggest something special to their guests because, of course, it's the experience. We are selling now product. This is experience. And if you may, I don't know, do whatever to do, like in your country, cider festival, or it could be, I don't know, different kind of stuff. You can go to the forest and pick up herbs. Belarusian are very good with this wild product like meat, mushrooms, herbs. It's also part of their rural culture. They use these herbs as a medicine, what else, or even like a sort of voodoo or healing. So it's a part of culture. They have a interesting stuff. And for me, it's you should live in a rural area. You should have your own product, something. It could be agriculture. It could be maize, like in labyrinth, like in US. Actually, here we have only few. You may organize cooking classes. You may be a wonderful storyteller and take for a walk or give a wonderful excursion. You can be a pottery guy or make weaving or whatever, embroidery, many things, whatever you want to put in your product. And of course, you may provide a bed and breakfast like hospitality, accommodate people in your house. So this is different kind of services connected with rural life and agriculture. I would
Okay.
say like that because they have in Australia or in the US, they have a very strong connection with production side, but it's production and services. If we say about tourism, you should think immediately about tourism. So, because you want to sell your product to tourists, and they are coming for service, of course, for a different kind of experience. But anyway, so for me, it should be rural area. It
Okay.
should be product you invented. Of course, it should be experience. It should be rather educational and entertainment. It's preferable based on traditions because people
Okay.
want to see a tradition of
So when
village.
when Country Escape um was there, was that a way for a tourist to find, like, did you actually have a database that people could access? So if I wanted to
Yeah,
find a
when
place to go.
when we started, just in 5 or 7 years, we made our site to sell it like a travel. Because I have students, brilliant students that have access to the bright brains, and one of my students, he suggests me, let's do it. He was very good in internet. He know how to promote everything. It was like 10 or 15 years ago, different, of course, no social network, but still. And we did, and I still have my agency, and we started to do it. But for me, it was not easy because when you sell something, we are like entrepreneurs. One task is making money, but when I have NGO, it's absolutely different. It's not for profit organization. So it was a little bit conflicting. And I told Andrew, take this data and sell because we should provide tourists to our people. If we inspire them to work in this business, we should help them to make something, to make money, and to provide them with tourists. So Andrew started to develop his website, Holiday Buy. I'm still very popular now. Of course, before I try to protect our data because we want to make money from it, but after not, please, everybody, you can sell it. We just give you recommendation what is better, but it's other business. For example, if you're artist, you're painting, but you can't sell your paintings. Otherwise, it's another business. And always galleries are selling and you are producing. So we concentrated on the tourism product.
Okay.
They are in a village and for different kind of experience. And I got acquainted with your national organization for interpretation. And this is the product, and this is a lot of emotions. Also, I was involved in professional association in Keeper International with some of my friends. And so we decided to concentrate on a product and on, let's say, public relations, not on selling.
So the website that he created, what was the name of it? Your student.
And holiday by
Okay.
holiday.by. I think it exists, but many young people emigrate now. So Andre lives in Poland, but his website, I believe he works. Yeah. And
Excellent.
other, for example, Bell Cry, yeah, it's like a Belarusian Bell country. Bell Cry also, and a lot of my students, I send them to for the practical period for I don't know 4 months is to work in this in Bell Cry, and they like it. Is the owner Boris took some of them, and now they are working there. And we have one site which I like a lot, Gastinia. It was our product culinary. Create a culinary map. We did it, and to collect recipes from all our farmsteads. It was like a treasure because it's traditional, regional
Yes, I
recipes.
remember that.
Yeah,
I
and we gave
remember writing. Yeah, you
and I
wrote about
gave to
that.
my
Yep.
yeah, and I gave to my students and to Bill Cry this website and told, come on, develop it, do whatever you want. And they are created a travel agency using this website, and they make a wonderful tailor-made tour connected always with rural. They have a stay or dinner or lunch there, and then nature and other activities. So it's like a sustainable tourism, and this is I'm really happy.
What is that website exists today?
Gastinia,
All right.
I will give you the link.
Yes, please do that because I want to yeah, I just want to see it visually. That's terrific. So tell me, okay, so right now you're teaching,
Yeah, I'm teaching them.
and you're part of the Global Agritourism Network. Um,
Hmm.
I want to talk about the teaching for a little bit, but before we go there, how did you find out about the Global Agritourism Network? Like, how did you get connected to them, and what do you want to achieve by being a part of that network?
You see, one of the most interesting part of my job, especially for me, was an international project. We were involved in many international projects. Yeah, with different countries, with US, with even with Russia, with Europe, with Sweden, whatever. And during this program projects, we have some visitors, some experts who come here. And one project was about uh, developing greenways. Yeah.
Yes, I read about that. Yep.
It's a concept from US, came first to Czechoslovakia, then to our country. And they send us some experts who came to one region, absolutely remote on the north, but beautiful nature. And among other experts was a Todd Common. Professor Todd Common is from Vermont.
Oh,
And then we met him on an Ecotourism Global Summit again. So we stay in touch. He liked our village, our people, very hospitable. And 3 years ago, he just wrote me, Lera, maybe you want to come to Vermont for Global Agritourism conference. I told him, of course. because normally I go once a year or once in a 2 year in US to visit my friends, some events, conference. So I came to Vermont, and it was the 2022 probably, and it was the World Conference is where I met Lisa Chase.
Yep.
And some of other colleagues from all over the world came, and I made a presentation and my partner and friend from US, Professor Susan Slocum from George Mason University, because I've been as a Fulbright scholar in US. And we came together, so it was nice time. And I like conference and people from all over the world. And I told in the end, Lisa, look, you have such a high competences. All world came to you. Why don't you want to organize a global organization? He told, okay, now you will go on a stage and say few words, wrapping up, and suggest it. And I went to the stage and told guys, what do you think if we created a big network and later organization? Who votes? Everybody voted. So this is, I even was involved in the creation of, you may ask Lisa, she told you that it's true. And I was, so if I suggested that, I, still we are not clear how to develop organization, to do it as a membership free or not. It's just depend, because we have so many different stakeholders. It's of course strong side, but also it creates problems. So now we have some people who is writing strategy, including me. It's just some ideas. And this how I came to this global agritourism network, and then we organize it in April 2023. We launched it through internet, of course. And I started to be responsible for Eastern Europe and country of former Soviet Union. And I have to organize webinar with my people, connected all the time, try to form a team and to involve in some activities. It was absolutely volunteer, but it was exciting and interesting. And was the beginning of involvement in this. And then it was just now in May in Bolzano, Italy. It was the second World Agritourism Conference. And I was like a keynote, one of keynote, and I present the experience of Eastern Europe and former Soviet Union country. Because before me and my friend Susan Slocum, we edited and actually invented the books about post-Soviet nations. So I already knew, actually I knew all leader of association because of this international project, and we were a part of Eurogid, European Federation of Agritourism. So we were active because we need a lot of information. We were new, we were dynamic. So I've been many places and see good example. But with global agritourism association, I just, it started recently. And one day before this conference, which started, let's say, 16 of May, on the 15th, we had a leadership training. Yeah. And they invited me, and maybe it was like 20 people. And I met many leaders. I knew about them, but some of them I never met personally, or I've seen them, but we didn't have chance to communicate. And Iraq, Euro Academy, but by chance I've been 4 times already there before this conference, and I have my special training there in frame of international project, because they gave us a lot context, education, and the best example in the world. So
Excellent.
it's look like I somehow participated in creation of global agritourism network. I like what they do, and I like see how diverse could be this tourism. For example, in where I've seen a webinar about agritourism in Vanuatu, in these islands near Australia. It's fantastic. Or in Australia, or in Tasmania, or Latin America. It's so diverse, but so interesting. So because I know, no, I know, and it's true that people in the rural area they are like they reflect real, genuine culture of nations because in the cities there are so many different influences, many peoples, but in a rural area there is a nation, the soul of nation. So I
Yeah.
think this is very important to keep tradition, to not do it like a show. So
Right.
heritage and
Yes.
people of heritage, they are like
That's important.
yeah.
That is really important. Since your organization is not there anymore, has that had a negative impact? Has that hurt agritourism in Belarus?
Yes, it hurts because immediately they changed the law and they gave the right to rule agritourism to local authorities who are not interested, who don't have the idea what to do. And there are some regions, administrative regions, where the authority like this idea.
Yeah.
Everything is good there. And there are who hates this idea, especially around Minsk. And imagine it was 60 farms stay in a region and now only six, something like that. So
Yeah.
it's not a good time, but they can just rent out their houses different way. And everybody should know a computer. Everybody now should calculate their taxes via computer. And I'm sorry because we try to support people who lives in the village, and maybe many of them didn't know how to do it. And now when people from our national parks call me from this forest, Lera, we are retired. We have a good retirement, and we had tourists because we like it. We know forest, we know history, we can cook wonderful, but we are not going to learn computer and create stress for ourselves. So we just quit. This was really sorry. So no, this is okay. We have 3,000 farm state. Now we have 1,000, but this is strong people. They will survive. They will find the way because if you are working for yourself, your brain very active. You know what to do, how to survive in any situation. But
Yeah.
for the industry, it was not good. But we are in a crisis. We're in a horrible situation about war.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
What
So
happened tomorrow? This with nuclear war with this Putin, the best friend of our president. So
I know.
people are nervous. So it's not number one issue in our country now.
Right.
Even not number one. That's why of course, we have some connections to the president and his administration, but it's not time even to raise this question
Right.
because we
Absolutely. Yeah. So talk to me about your students. So just tell me again about your programs, and I want to be mindful of your time, but I really just wanted to know a little bit about what you're
Yes, I have
teaching.
more free time. Mhm.
Um and also, because of everything that's happened, has that impacted, you know, the student that's taking your class? Like, you know, I guess it's hard sometimes, do they see a future in this type of industry? So how does that all work? Tell me about that whole experience.
That's interesting because I'm working for very classy faculty like MGIMO in Moscow. This is future diplomats or something. It's an
Okay.
international relationship, yeah. That's why, and actually, the highest score to enter university, it's in my faculty. So the
Wow.
best students are there. And when they come, especially before they have been dreaming, they will go abroad, they will work for super agency or super hotel. We have now a lot of Marriott's, Hilton's, etc., like in every capital. And but then they understand reality, and then I explain them that what is the most unique like a product, tourism product in my country? It's not a castles, it's not the churches. Go to Italy, France, etc. Here is a treasure. Everything was ruined. Of course, we used to have it. So what can we suggest? This is nature and our rural area, but we have villages on the western. They don't have this kind of settlement, and we have a rich intangible heritage, which many people or nation don't have anymore. So we should do and fantastic food. It's organic food because it's from your garden mainly. That's why we can we can create a wonderful product. We call it agro and ecotourism, and we were so successful that in 2020, World Tourism Organization was going to organize a World Tourism Conference in Belarus. But then revolution, COVID, etc. And that's why I try to explain that. What are you going to sell to foreigners? Okay, your tourists will come. What? And they start to look, and then it was COVID, yeah, no big buses, no. And they started to realize, and the trip to a big swamp area, one of the biggest in Europe, with some kind of extreme, this is cool, with locals who can show them. Or we can go to the forest to visit locals, people who tell them stories, who cook wonderful meat or mushrooms, or you can go to places where they can show you traditional puppets show or tell them. At least this is experience, unique experience you can get anywhere else. And now, when a social network, the world has changed. My students know Instagram is number one, and they can sell like one, two, three of what they want. They know how to write. It's different generation actually. What do we say? I learned from them. Yeah, in spite I teach them marketing because I know the basic stuff from the Charter Institute of Marketing and from my own experience. But social network, this opinion leader, opinion former, influencers, this is their life. And they teach me, and of course I have Instagram because how can I teach them if but they help me to do stories and reels. No, I know something, but they are much better because now children they were born, they don't know how to speak, they don't know how to walk, but they know how to press button, and they know this is their environment. I'm still like a foreign on this world. So, and I've took them on some of private tours to show, and our best farmstead or program on a swamp area on the lake, etc. And they like it, and they like it very much. And they went to that agency, Gastinia, and they now yesterday I've seen 5 of them already there. They do their own programs. They're excited. So, and of course, I'm excited too. And this is how I agitate them for this kind of tourism, which is based on our national authentic culture. And they understood me, and many of them are involved. Maybe they go to as a tourist, maybe they do something, but I am happy, and my students are one of the best. And I want to send them to US to teach. Some of them I managed to promote and connect it, and they are now in a master program in, for example, in Colorado State University, MBA Impact. Now, in other programs, US Embassy announced. I also try to encourage my students to go there
Wow.
because US
It
is a country of big opportunity.
it sounds you must be so proud because it sounds like a lot of your students have definitely taken a lot of initiative in
This is
like
that.
creating and taking all this knowledge from what you've kind of opened up this world to them, and they're taking it using technology, obviously, but taking it
Oh,
to that
yeah.
next level. So it must be so exciting to watch these projects evolve and
Yeah.
be part of it to a certain extent. But that's exciting.
Yeah. And now I have more time and I can invest it in teaching and in involving my students in different projects. When we had project, yeah, they always were with us as a consultants. They went to the village, suggested something as a product, and I always thought that they should be with us because future belong to them. And if we want to create a product not for retired people or older generation, but for the generation, I don't know, Z, etc., millennial, we should have students who say, is it interesting or not? What should we add to it, or just it's doesn't worth to develop? So they, why I think they also helped us a lot. It
Excellent.
means that this movement will not die because many young people like it already, and they create a demand on the market. They can promote it.
Is
Oh,
there any, are there any projects or ideas that currently that your students are working on that is exciting for you?
yeah. Actually, I had some close colleague in Russia who worked in environmental, in national park, etc. They are just great in that. There are some parks which are one of the best in the world, and with all of this interpretation approach, because especially on the north, there is one park in north. There are lots of Norwegian, I don't know, Americans come there and help them to do, and they are just great themselves. So, and when these people do some ecological summit or something, they involve young people in this activity because they want to create a new generation, environmentally friendly, who cares about the land. So I try to involve my not only students but other people from school, from colleges, because sometimes we should form a team, yeah, different actors. So this is
Okay.
what I like. I involve them, but now I don't have my own project, so only like that.
So, okay, so you're teaching and you are involved in the Global Agritourism
Yeah.
Network very actively. Any other projects related to this that you're working on? Any books?
Yeah, books. Yeah. Now I'm thinking uh, how to promote or present this information to the society, because I see different kind of family, different kind of way to live in a village. Even farmers, they are different. Someone, but anyway, it's destiny. It's a story, fantastic story. So when we just begin our activity, maybe in a 5 years or six, we published a book, Pioneers of Rural Tourism of Belarus. And now I think that it would be interesting for the world if we could publish such a book in a global, yeah, level. For example, now because I just want to make a post for my Instagram, I'm speaking or dealing with the guy from Tasmania. He has a big sheep farm, sheep boy, no cowboy, and this seventh generation of farmers. This Tasmania was like a prison for UK. They say they are prisoners many years ago, but now they do fantastic things. And I have now our people, and I have people from India or Sri Lanka, and I have people from Kenya, and they're so diverse. But it's every destiny. It's a family business. It's very interesting because it is a human. This is not from house to house, place to place, but it's from person to person. It's a very heart of human industry with the human face. So it's always human story with all of the universal values which touch heart of every person. So maybe to make books of, I don't know, 10 stories or 7 stories,
I love it.
people started. What do you think? I
I
think it
think it's
could be
great.
everybody,
I think
yeah.
it's great. I You should talk to your students about the idea. Get their feedback,
Oh yeah,
and
I
inspiration.
will, I will. Now we started holiday, yeah, and they already got their diploma, and in 2 weeks it will be final. I don't know, celebration. I will see them that day because they invited me to the restaurant, but I will
That's
discuss
nice.
with
You
them.
should. You should. So I have one final question.
Oh,
What is your favorite place to visit? If you were
mhm.
to go on your own agritourism trip, both in your country and out of your country.
In my country, there are people who created wonderful places and who close to me. It should be close to my values, yeah, of course. So there are one is a former musician, a guy they created in a Belarusian area. In one place there were so many bright people. One of them is an artist and restore a lot of instrument. Another just wow, open heart also, and he sings. Another has a lot of horses and carriages. So I like this area. Then I like to the south forests, and we have a special region, Polesia. They were around wetlands, so they just somehow survived the revolution and all of this collectivization. They're different people. I love them, and we made a festival of immortal culinary festival. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Since that time, of course, I like it 10 times already. They do it, develop themselves. And on the North Lake area, this is our. Then I would like to go maybe to Poland, to maybe to Sweden, some nice place to Italy. I've been, okay. I've never been to Transylvania in Romania, but they have very special place. And of course, I want to go to US because there are some places I've been, I love, and we became friends. So there are so many places. And next, in 2 years, we have a conference in Ghan in Scotland. I love Scotland, so I want to see there, Farmstead.
Excellent.
Uh, so many, and Slovenia. Spent quite a time during conference with these ladies. They did fantastic rural tourism in Slovenia, in the country. So in the countries like in Italy, very much, but it's a Slovenian country, slightly different.
Yeah.
So many. In Austria, and I've been in Alba, the most beautiful village in Europe, actually, Western Europe. Many.
Yeah.
But for
Yes.
me, first, it's a human, a person. I should because host is everything. They create atmosphere which
Yep.
we want to see because it's not standardized hotel. Yeah, it's
Yep.
different. You can feel the soul of the people. Our first motto of our organization, Country Escape, was this is the country of open doors and hearts.
I love
It's a
that.
Belarusian, yeah, it's a beautiful verse or poem of one of our poets.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Это
That
край,
captures it.
да, открытых душ и дверей. Something like that. Это край твой дом и собор.
Yeah.
It's about Belarus.
Well, thank you. You've definitely taught me a lot, and I appreciate you taking the time for this conversation.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Bye, Jen.
I hope our Agritourist podcast prompts you to think more about where your food comes from, whether it be your vegetables, fruits, meats, and even those sweet treats. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with someone you think may truly benefit from or be inspired by it. Visit us at agra-tourist.com. Until next time. As we are learning from many of our farmers and entrepreneurs, strong connections help propel our visions. Through my interview with Lisa Chase from the University of Vermont Extension and Vermont Tourism Research Center, I was connected to an exciting and new organization called the Global Agritourism Network, or GAN for short. The global network is made up of agritourism stakeholders from around the world. They include farmers and ranchers, researchers, educators, community planners, policymakers, agricultural service providers, and tour operators, among others. It is currently free to join, so if you have any interest in agritourism, check them out at agritourism.eurac.edu/GAN, or just Google Global Agritourism Network. The link will be in our show notes as well. You never know, this global network may help you take your agritourism vision to the next level.